Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to continue working on our winter elves. So you can go check out our winter elf armor video we did a couple of days ago, and today we're going to take a look at the leather. Now there's not an awful lot on this miniature, and so the leather stuff we're actually going to do is we're going to do his little tassels here in the leather color, but most importantly it's going to be his boots that are going to be the main leather color, and also you can see his scabbard back here as well for the miniature. So this part here will be done in the leather scheme. We'll be focusing on the feet because that'll be the best part that you will be able to see the scheme we do for our winter elves on the leather. So with that said, let's get cracking on and let's go check out the paints we need for this painting scheme. In today's painting video, we are going to need the following paints from Citadel Games Workshop's line of paints. We're going to need Dryad Bark, Coelia Green Shade, and Administratum Grey. With that all said, let's get cracking on into the painting video. And so the first paint we are going to need is going to be Dryad Bark from Citadel. So we've got some of that already on our palette here, and effectively, on your wet palette, you just want to make sure that you've got enough of a good consistency for paint. You want it to run nice and smoothly, nice and thinly. Wet palettes, you shouldn't need to water down your paints too much on a wet palette, just because that is sort of what the wet palette does. It keeps it a little bit wet. And so we're now just going to focus on getting some paint onto his boots like so. You may need to apply 2 thin coats of this just to get a nice smooth and even coverage on the model. And once you've got all the leather parts done, we'll move on to the next part. And so there we have the base coat for the leather done. You can see we've got a nice clear coat on the brown there. Across the model we've gone for the rope, the scabbard, the hilt of the blade, and all the little tassels, excluding the top one. We'll do that hair a nice different colour. I've got a hair scheme I want to show off on that. But with that said, we're going to now move on to the next colour, which is going to be Coelia Green Shade. Now, if you watch the armour video, we actually use this as the wash for the armour, and this is really important because what this does, using the same wash on 2 different parts of the model, will bring both those 2 parts together and give us a sort of cohesive depth to the miniature. So it'll bring the armour and the leather together, giving us a nice cohesive depth between the 2 parts. So Coelia Green Shade from Citadel. As with any wash, it's pretty simple to use washes. You can just get them open, get yourself a wash brush. For this, we are using, doing this on a much smaller area on this miniature, so I've got smaller washer brushes available to me. I like to use the GW Citadel starter brush. These generally fray pretty quickly. I got about 30 of these when I bought the, what's it called? The Mortal Realms magazine. These came with that. So now you're just going to apply your wash into the model like so. Now with this, you want to avoid pooling on your washes. Generally there's not going to be too many issues with pooling on such small bits. Not got any large flat areas, but you just don't want to have any major parts of the wash sort of sitting there. You can sort of see we've got a little bit of pooling here underneath the metal. What you can do with that is just simply grab your brush, pick that wash up, and put it somewhere else. There's no need to get rid of that wash. You can just use it on a different part. So it's great. And washes generally do take a little bit to dry. You probably want to leave this for, a little while. If you're following and painting a miniature along with us, you can probably go do the base coats for another part of the model after this. And so, as you can see, we've applied that wash down on the model now. It's managed to settle all nicely and dry all in the recesses of the feet, making sure this wash is completely dry. Now, the last thing we've got to do is do a final highlight on the miniature. And for this, we're going to use something interesting. We're going to use Administratum Grey. This is going to give a really cold highlight to the leather. It's not going to bring it back up in any warmth. It's going to provide a nice highlight that goes nicely along with the cold metal we've sort of created already, and just go nicely with it. So we've got a little bit of it here already on our palette. Like I said, you shouldn't need to with these layer paints from GW or Citadel, whatever you want to say. You shouldn't need to generally do too much, and so we just want to go along all the finest edges. So like the edge of the boot trim here, just carefully draw a thin line across it And just want to continue to do this across all these nice little highlighted parts of the model. Now, when it comes to something like this scabbard here that actually doesn't have any detail in it, what you can do with your highlights is just want to get a small amount of paint on the model. And with your model here, you just want to draw the highlight down the length of the model. So you can go on the side of the light. So you wouldn't do it, say, on this side where it's obviously going to be darker. You do it on the top side of the scabbard. And what you can do to get a nice highlight is just one clean little straight line just down the model like so. That'll give you a nice little highlight there on the miniature. If you have, like me, you've done a little bit of a crooked one, just go over with a second little coat. Just give you a nice highlight on that edge there without distracting too much from it. And so you can see we've done all the highlights. We've highlighted all the rope on the miniature. We've highlighted the boots down with a nice little highlight. This just gives a nice cold sort of look. And then we've got the nice line down the back of our scabbard and just highlighting all the tassels there as well. Nicely to give us that nice sort of cold look, and it just brings the warmth of the brown back down a little bit to sort of blend in with the rest of our cold scheme. But that is the leather done. And so that is the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment down below and let us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here at Sinful Gaming, we've got a link to our Discord server down in the video's description. And if you'd like to help support the channel in another way, you can do so either by joining Patreon or YouTube members, or purchasing something from our Ko-fi web store. All of them are linked in the video's description. Thank you all for everyone who chooses to help support the channel. As a special thank you to those people who have supported via Patreon and YouTube members, we'd like to give a special shout out to them all. So a shout out to our patrons: Christian Weir, James, Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Aaron Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nielsen, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Dyna226, Derek, and GRP390. A special thank you to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Vinny, Lock Lorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Sean Scott, Pink Nico Fire, and Robin Mankiller as well. Lastly, a special shout out first of all to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel you see, and to Xmorphic, who has done an amazing job at setting up our Discord server for her and making us have a nice place to content and to chat with all of our community. Thank you all for watching once again, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.